Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're here at the Hollywood Museum on Highland in the historic Max Factor building. And our guests today are singer Susannah Blinkoff and musician-composer Reuben Snyder. Multi-talented actor, singer, playwright, producer, Susannah Blinkoff was born and raised in New York City. She went to Horace Mann. She also graduated from Brown University, and she appeared in off-Broadway plays when she was 12 years old. And guess what? I saw you there.
I think you did.
Tell us what that was. How did you get the role?
Well, I had a slight in. My mother is composer-lyricist Carol Hall, who's an old friend of yours.
Yes.
And it's funny because it wasn't a shoo-in that I was going to get the role. They needed a young girl, and the director happened to have a daughter my age as well, who also tried out for the part. So it was the director's daughter and the composer-lyricist's daughter. I got the part.
Yay!
And I did.
What was it?
It was called Sweet Main Street, and it was at Playwrights Horizons. So I was acting in an off-Broadway musical when I was in, I think it was 8th grade. And my grades at high school suffered.
Did they go way down?
Yeah. I got like a D in math, and you know, it brought up this conversation between my mother and I of, was I going to become a professional child or not? Because
But what were you? Did she want you to be?
No, she did
She
not
didn't want you
no
to
way.
be because she knew what the theater was. She knew how hard she was working.
Yes, I think that, and also, you know, if you're going to be a professional child, you need a stage mother or dad.
Yeah.
And neither one of my parents were going to do that because they were doing their own careers.
But your father was a really good photographer.
Yes, and he was specializing in children's photography, so he thought that the young models that he was working with were really a little bit crazy.
Yeah, so he didn't want his kids to be like that.
He didn't want me to do it. And then my mom, you know, really just tried to say, hey, why don't you just be a regular kid? There's a lot of time.
But you couldn't be a regular kid
Not
because I was
exactly.
at your house so many times when you
Yes.
were growing up.
You were.
And you couldn't be a regular kid. There were too many celebrities, well-known people walking in and out, creative, talented people.
Yeah, it's funny because, I mean, we didn't really have famous celebrities, but there were a lot of accomplished people.
But they were famous in your
well-known.
circle.
Yes, they were.
They were. They were
Yeah.
like, Carol would have somebody in and I wouldn't know who it was, but the minute I met them, you knew that they were a force in whatever
Right.
field it was.
Yeah, or maybe they had an Oscar or a Tony on
Yeah,
the
but we didn't
mantelpiece
know
at
about.
home, you know.
Right.
No big deal.
But who were those great influences in and out of the house?
Oh gosh, you know, I certainly one of them was Martin Charnin, who wrote Annie, because he was the dad of one of my best friends from childhood. She and I went to elementary school together.
Oh, you did go to school together?
Yeah, and summer camp. And so every year, Marty had this show for 7 years. And I kept hearing about, oh, Sasha's dad, Marty. And he would tell us, do you want to come see this workshop of it? No, thanks, Marty.
Because it was your girlfriend's father,
yeah,
right?
it was, and you know, he was just struggling, and I knew at one point that he was really struggling financially, but he believed in this show. And the day after it opened on Broadway, he came and picked me and Sasha up from school in this long black limousine and drove us to the show's cast album recording session, and it was amazing. And so for me, he was tenacity. Annie.
Annie, right.
Yeah.
And then how did he ever think of casting the two of you?
I don't know about Sasha. I can't speak for her. But I know at that point, it didn't come up. But I do remember that he came to see me one time in a play at school. And he just grabbed me afterwards and hugged me and said, "You are so good." And coming from Martin Charnin, that meant a lot. Like when I was 12, I recognized that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And
well, you had Gretchen Weiler there all the time?
Gretchen Cryer,
Gretchen
John
Cryer. I always
Cryer's
say
mom.
Weiler. Yeah, Gretchen Cryer was there all the time.
Wonderful woman and wonderful songwriter. And she had that show off Broadway that my mom did called I'm Getting My Act Together and Taking It on
That
the
was
Road.
fantastic. And your mother was great.
She was
we
great.
came to see her. We got off the plane and we came to visit the show. We saw the show. She didn't know we were there. And we'd stopped. We didn't know where to get flowers. It was really late, and we just went right from JFK there. So we went and bought this big basket of vegetables. We brought this basket of vegetables backstage for her. Because what are you going to do? She was fabulous. But she was playing someone else's life, right?
Yes.
Her friend's life.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
And she was playing a songwriter, which really made sense. That was the first time I'd ever seen my mom act on stage. She really hadn't done that before. And she was in the show for like a year, I think.
I know. It was
so, you know, it was a year of crock-pot dinners.
So what did you do? Did you study instruments? Did you study voice? How did you get going?
I studied acting first. I started when I was 9 at HB Playwrights.
Oh, you did?
Down on
Berghoff?
Bank Street, yep. And Herbert Berghoff actually directed me when I was like 10. I just remember he gave me a lot of candy. He kept saying, "Good job," and then he'd give me a hard candy. That was pretty much all he said. But yeah, I started acting, and then I did sing. But my mom, no, because she had been pushed into music by her own mother, so she really didn't push me or
Whom
my brother.
I knew very well too, Grandma Josephine. So, but did you study an instrument?
Not really. I
didn't?
studied a little bit of piano, but I got discouraged because I wasn't good at it right away, and I didn't practice.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And she
So
didn't
what do you
force
do
me,
now,
so.
writing music? What do you write with?
Well, I have learned to play a little bit of piano, but I'm not very good live. Like I can play at home when I'm writing a song, but I'm not so good live. I also treat my voice more like an instrument now, and so I'll go into a recording session with a producer and I'll say, "What about a bass line?" and I'll sing a bass line. Or,
Oh,
what
you
about
can?
So I do that.
So that's your musical instrument.
Yeah.
And when you write, do you sing it yourself, or do you hear it in your own? You don't have to play it to hear it.
I hear the melody, and then I try to figure out how to play what's underneath the melody, what the chords might be.
And then do you write the lyrics too?
Yes.
Then where do these inspirations come from? What kind of songs do you write?
I write kind of alternative pop songs. My songs are different than my mother's. My mom is a wonderful songwriter. Her songs are more like monologues for characters, and that's why she writes more musical theater.
And let's talk about Best Little Whorehouse she wrote. And,
yes.
And
many other shows that aren't quite as well known as that one.
But she wrote a lot of shows.
She's written a lot. She wrote for Sesame Street, Free to Be You and Me.
Right. I met all the Sesame Street people with her.
You did?
Years ago. Yeah.
Big Bird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really. But she used a piano.
Yes. She was trained as a musician when she was a kid.
Because your grandmother wanted her to play.
Yes.
Because your grandmother
wanted is a probably very
pushed her into playing.
Yeah.
But do you continue to take singing lessons?
Yes, I do. I study with a wonderful guy named Roger Love, who's here in Hollywood. He is voice coach to the stars, as well as people like Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins. But he.
Oh, you mean for vocal speaking?
But also for singing, he's coached the people. Lots of people, Reese Witherspoon and Joaquin Phoenix for the.
But for verbalizing.
Well, also for singing.
And singing
yes,
too.
and so he's been amazing for me the last couple of years. My voice has really changed with him.
So tell me what this piece was that you wrote. You wrote an independent film. I want
Yes.
to cover everything because I
Okay.
have to get to. Well,
I've kind of done a lot.
We've kind of covered Daughter of. We've covered a lot of stuff that would be in it, right?
Yes.
Just
yes.
talking like this.
Yeah, yeah.
But what's Belly Fruit?
Belly Fruit was an independent film that came about really unexpectedly. I was teaching high school girls who dropped out of high school, actually teenage moms, how just creative writing, and I showed the writing to a friend of mine, and she was very inspired and wanted to do a play about teen mothers. She kind of set me up on a blind date with 2 other women. We ended up writing a play, the 3 of us together. We each wrote 1 character. And then we did it downtown in LA, and Richard Riordan, who was the mayor at the time, and his wife came to see it, loved it, gave us a bunch of money, and produced it as an independent film.
Is that right?
And it is pre-Juno. It's kind of darker
it
than Juno,
is?
but it's good.
But did those people experience what they were writing about? Were they
Well,
experiencing
we based
that?
the film on what we had seen in these girls' lives.
That's what I
Yeah,
meant.
yeah.
Have they seen that
Did the
as well?
girls see it?
The people who were writing with you.
Oh yeah, yes. I had 2 co-writers, and
Those characters, yeah.
yeah.
So was that on stage?
It was on stage, then it became a movie, and so it did the independent film circuit. It ran on Showtime for a while, and then actually the cool thing was I wrote the opening title song, because it became clear that I was not going to act in it at
I was
one
going to
point.
ask you if you acted in it.
There was only one part I could have played, and it was another woman who was producing it was going to play that part. So I thought, oh, I'm not going to act. All right. Well, what could I do? And I wrote this opening title song, and I approached someone I had met in a class that I'd been in, Stephen Bray, who's an amazing songwriter, producer who had worked with Madonna. And I was very in awe of him, and I said, would you be willing to write this? And he did. He wrote the opening title song with me.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
And what was the title song?
It's called Belly Fruit.
It is.
Yeah.
And belly fruit is
Belly Fruit. Yeah.
belly, like
Referring
what
to
comes
being
out of it in the
pregnant.
and
Yeah.
and how it continues once it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the moral of the movie was basically like, it's hard. Like, wait. Try to wait if you can, because maybe being a teenager and having a baby is difficult.
I know.
So
Let's talk
we've
about
moved on to lighter things since then.
Daughter of.
Yeah,
is
let's.
this lighter?
It is
This
lighter.
is a lighter
It is,
subject?
Yes.
Have you acted on stage?
I have. I have acted on stage many times. Then I took kind of a long break when I was putting out albums and writing movies, and then
And
having
what kind
a
of
child.
roles? What kind of roles?
I have played. I play. Sometimes I do kind of blue collar stuff. People seem to see me like that. I don't look like I'm from New York. It's hilarious to me. That,
know.
like, if someone were casting a film or a show about Manhattan, I wouldn't get cast because I don't look like I'm from Manhattan apparently. But I look like I'm from the middle of the country.
But
so
it's perfect, right?
It works.
So it works.
And then
just
I
right.
love sitcoms. I just love comedy.
So have you done a lot of that?
I've done some, yeah.
And you
hope
took
to do more.
classes from our friend Stan Zimmerman.
Yes, yes.
And is he directing this?
He's directing my show, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this play,
Okay.
Daughter of.
All right. Well, at first I wanted to do a cabaret act with my mother.
Oh.
She and I had discussed doing an act together.
Really?
And I really wanted to do it. I thought it would be so great because it's pretty unusual. You don't have a lot of mother-daughter singer-songwriters. I mean,
But she's done it.
well, she's done her own.
She's done her own,
Yeah, sure. But
Have you done your own before, cabaret?
I had tried. I had done a little bit back in the 90s. I had done kind of a one-woman thing.
Oh,
but,
you had?
But I felt like this would be really interesting. I thought it was unique, and we talked about it. And then she changed her mind, and she didn't want to do it. And I was a little bit, like, hurt for a little while. But then I thought, well, I think there's something here. And so last fall, I got a couple of friends together in my living room, and I sang some of my mom's songs. And the amazing thing is, after listening to these songs my whole life, like I've literally heard them hundreds of times, right? You know this. I realized I never have sung that song. I've never sung Jenny Rebecca. I've never sung...
Jenny Rebecca, when she sings it, you just start crying, though, don't you?
Yeah.
How did you feel when you sang it?
I cry a lot. It's going to be a big challenge not to cry, but I think I've moved through that. But anyway, so I gathered some friends and I said, what do you think? Is there something here? And in between the singing, I was just kind of speaking off the cuff. And they said, this is great, and you could do it right now as a cabaret act, but if you really want to take it to the next level, write it as a play.
Oh, they
and
did?
Stan really challenged me and said, I think it's going to make it a whole different thing.
And what songs of your mom's do you sing?
I'm singing Jenny Rebecca, which Barbara Streisand recorded. I'm singing Sandy, which is an old favorite of hers. Uncle Malcolm. A lot of the songs are about family.
And
I'm singing
people
It's All
from
Right
plays?
to Cry from Free to Be You and Me.
Oh, right.
And we have a medley from Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
And that just blew the sky open, didn't it?
It was a big success.
It
really
was,
was.
right.
It ran for 5 years on Broadway.
And as a child of someone with a play on Broadway, I mean, you were a child when she was a big star, really, your mom. How did you feel?
I felt thrilled.
Were you?
Yes. There are a lot of perks. I got a little bit spoiled with the orchestra seats for the Broadway shows. It's
All
a
of
little
the
hard
shows
for me
then,
to sit in the
right?
balcony. I can't do it. Yeah, I have a problem with the balcony. But no, I mean, I was extremely privileged. And then there are also moments that I talk about in the show where, I feel kind of like, wow, we're talking about her again. Okay.
That's what I wondered. That's what I wondered.
It's challenging, and I think anyone who has had anyone in their family or a spouse or a parent who, you know, kind of takes the spotlight, there are issues with that, you know.
Where can Daughter of go? Where do we see it going?
Okay, this is, I want to
Because we're in the Fringe, right?
Yes, we're in the Fringe.
Hollywood Fringe Festival.
Yeah, but we're not doing it at a theater. We're doing it at a nightclub. So I really want it to go to San Francisco, to Dallas, to Chicago. And in New York, I really have my eye on a place called 54 Below, which is the place below Studio 54.
Yeah.
The Cafe Carlisle. I mean, why not?
Oh, so it would all be in those kind of settings.
I see it as a really fresh take on cabaret, but it's really different.
Yeah,
it's
that's interesting.
It's new and improved cabaret.
And you have two names. I mean, you have both of your names that are like well known, or that people can identify with.
Yeah, the New York theater people will be drawn by her, but then I'm gonna push them, bring them over to my side too, and sell a CD.
I'm so glad you came on.
Thank you. Me
and
too.
we didn't talk about your CDs. You have two CDs.
I do.
What are they?
One is called Let's Pretend, under my name, and then I have a band named Camp Susannah. That was my earlier one. They've been on actual radio and college radio and MTV. And,
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Joan.
Susannah. And don't go away. We'll be right back with musician Reuben Snyder. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping at the Hollywood Museum in this historic Max Factor building, and I'm with experimental composer, vocalist, musician, D. Reuben Snyder, who was born in LA but raised in southwestern Washington. He studied composition and orchestration on his own, and Reuben records and performs with an experimental electronic collective. What is that?
Oh, the collective? Oh, Rob Walmart.
What is it? What's a collective?
Oh, it's just a bunch of people, revolving cast of characters that go in and out and get together once a week and record and perform a bunch of like improvised electronic music.
What do they play? Instruments
or
just
like broken
chords?
keyboards, like Casios, or just weird
Broken?
junk. Broken, sometimes broken. Sometimes they bring iPads. They bring anything they can get.
Do you set it up? Are they the same people?
Sometimes the same people, but there's always a new member that shows up, and just various characters.
Where do they come from?
Oh, this is all in Portland, Oregon. So.
Oh, you live in Portland now.
No, I live in Los Angeles now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, there's some information I didn't update on my Facebook page, but
Which
I just moved here.
Which I didn't read.
I just moved here, totally. Well, I just moved here 7 months ago.
Oh, so you're a native.
I'm totally new here.
Okay,
Yeah.
now, so a big influence. Is this southwestern Washington?
Southeastern Washington.
Oh, southeastern.
Yeah.
There's a big difference, I guess.
Big difference. Yeah, southeastern is like the desert.
I can't believe Washington has a desert. You
Yeah.
think of Washington wet and wetter.
Yeah. It's just this little corner there.
Oh, so southeastern, what does that do? Where is it?
Southeastern Washington. It's near the Hanford nuclear power plant where they made the nuclear missiles that bombed Japan.
And you said it's like a desert.
It's a desert region, yeah. Kennewick, Washington, Pasco.
Okay, talk about Kennewick. What is that?
Kennewick is where I was raised after I was born, and my father worked at Hanford at the nuclear power plant.
Oh, wow.
So I was raised in this desert region, and it's very beautiful, and there's always the joke where, they always ask you if you glow in the dark if you're from Kennewick.
Do you?
Well, we'd have to see, don't we?
We'll have to see at the Red Cat. So is it Kennewick Man?
Kennewick Man is there's two records I'm working on. There's Kennewick Man and Colodus. And Colodus is what I'm performing at Red Cat. And Colodus is also a small town that's located near Pasco, Kennewick. And it's in the middle of nowhere. It's just a crazy haunting place.
Who knows
Colodus.
about these places?
Not very many people.
And how do you bring that feeling of what it is, like to Red Cat? I know that's a black box. What do you do?
No, it's easy. I don't know. It's just a very haunting place. I mean, a lot of my music is really haunting sounding.
And how do you get that sound?
I don't really know. I mean, like, I got my singing voice from my mother, who is a trained alto. She never taught me music. I taught myself that. But how I get the sounds and the music it's all just usually comes from nowhere, and it's experimentation. So I'm always like just testing out these sounds, and they come up from nowhere, and I also sing in tongues.
So sounds are the sounds that you're testing are from your voice, not
Voice
from
and
an instrument.
Both together. Like I usually, like if I want to write a song, I usually have my instrument and a microphone set up, and I just perform or just on the fly, just write music. And then it's very strange that a lot of the music just comes from complete nowhere, and I sing in tongues, and then
Do you go into a trance?
I do go into a trance. It's like automatic writing.
And then how? Oh, that's why
It's
you
very much like
study
automatic
yourself.
writing. It's
I mean, that's
very
why you've
bizarre.
self-taught.
Well,
in a
the
way.
self-taught aspect is that before I started writing songs, I was more interested in like chamber composition and things like that. And
But I mean, formal chamber composition.
yeah,
like
yeah,
very
yeah.
formal?
I worked at a sheet music company, and I ordered about $2,000 worth of sheet music of Morton Feldman, Jajrika Tog, Legedy, Schoenberg, Webern. And so what I do is I take these scores and I have the music and I'd study it. And
So those are your influences.
those are my influences. Well, there's so many influences because before I did that, I did experimental jazz, and that was John Zorn, Ornette Coleman, Eric Dolphy. I mean, it's all
So
over the
you
place.
know all of those musicians.
Oh yeah, voracious musical appetite. Yeah, just.
And where does it come from?
It's just through discovering by accident. You know, one thing leads to another.
From jazz. Jazz took you into
to
classical.
and then from classical, I just went immediately from classical into songwriting. I didn't even like get coaxed into doing it from listening to popular music.
And then, do your songs have a beginning and end?
Yeah, usually there's of course, a beginning and end.
Well, I don't know.
Usually
because-
no. Well, usually the song structures are A, B, C, and that's it. There's no verse, chorus. If I do bring back the chorus, I'm not singing the chorus. It's a completely different thing.
So they're lyrics.
Oh yeah.
Definite lyrics
Definite
or
lyrics.
tongue lyric in tongues.
Well, I go back after I work on the songs to decipher what I'm singing, and it's usually
Oh, so if you record in tongues, so
Yeah,
you're
I
recording
sing in
everything that
tongue,
you're doing,
yeah.
you sing in tongue, then you can go back and decipher what you've said?
yeah.
And then do you do that again and make another record of it?
No, I just oh yeah, yes.
So
yes,
then, so
precisely.
you have like two versions of what you've done, or do they fit together?
There are two versions, but I don't really release those
Oh, I
because it's
see.
very embarrassing. Because it's
Why?
well, they're just very strange.
I know, but how did the lyrics come out? Don't they come out strange as
It
well?
just sounds like I'm singing Esperanto, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just yeah.
when you have a lot of Native American influences, right?
I
From
do,
that
I do.
southeastern area? Were
Not
there
from the
Indians
southeastern
there?
area, mainly from the Navajo. I purchased this. First began by purchasing this this LP set from Everest that released this grouping of Native Americans singing and chanting, and I've been very influenced by the Navajo. Primarily, I'm in love with the Navajo Boy, which is a song that is sung by these women from the Navajo tribe,
Yeah,
and it's
because
very
that
haunting.
sounds like what you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
If they're chanting and your tongues, I mean, it does sound like it goes together in
To
a
some way, but also it's actual sound.
So
too.
how do you write? Do you actually write?
No, I don't
Oh, you
actually
don't
write.
actually
I mean, I
write.
do when I compose my music for like chamber ensemble. Yeah, I had a piano. I wrote everything, manuscript. Yeah, everything.
That's what I wondered.
But the songs, no, it is all by ear.
Okay, well, it's pretty interesting, Reuben. D. Reuben Snyder.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. Now, where does Casper Sonnet come from?
Casper Sonnet it was a piece I wrote for my ex-wife, or my wife at the time.
Is it somebody we know? Casper Sonnet?
It just kind of came out of nowhere, like Caspar. Yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere. It's just really
That's
weird.
you.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, it's my my
Pseudonym.
alias.
Or
Yeah.
alias.
Yes,
alias.
yes,
Why would you
pseudonym.
use that? Does he have a different sensibility?
It's just kind of dramatic sounding, I guess.
But how do you get, I mean, where are you known? Are you known as Snyder or Sonnet?
My chamber music, I'm Steve Reuben Snyder, you see.
Oh,
But
I
my
see.
songs
I
is a
got
project,
it.
see.
I see.
So that's Casper Sonnet.
I see. And so who will the Red Cat audience see?
They're going to see a bit of, that's confusing, I know.
I don't know.
But I don't like to make it easy for people, you know. So it's going to be a little bit of both.
Oh, it will be a little
Oh,
bit
of
about.
course, because there is some very highly experimental elements involved in the piece.
Do you change persona? Do you put on a hat?
I
you
do
change
wear
your
a cape
clothes?
sometimes.
Do you?
But I'm not going to wear it for this, no.
So you wear the cape for which person?
For Casper Sonnet. Yeah.
For Casper.
Yeah.
And what kind of a guy is he?
He's definitely it's kind of like a cowboy, you know?
Oh,
definitely a
because
cowboy.
he comes out of that desert.
Definitely from the Wild West. I'm from the West, yes. Very desert.
But are there cowboys in that desert that you're talking about? What other influences is it?
Oh, a lot of influences would be like some sci-fi, like Frank Herbert's Dune, you know, the
yeah,
Fremen,
yeah.
you know, Arrakis, you know, Desert Planet, Spice.
And what do you do? Research all of that, or does it just
Yeah,
come
I read
to
it.
you?
I read it. I've read it, and it just kind of permeates in my subconscious, and then just kind of comes out when it comes out. Like I have songs about that are directly correlated with Dune and things
So
like
you
that.
came out of high school. You didn't go to college.
Weird. Didn't go to college, just high school, and then just moved to Bellingham, Washington, and just basically lived in the practice rooms at Western Washington University, and just kind of snuck in with my education.
Were you playing?
Yeah,
In those rooms?
Yeah, I was at that time I was a saxophonist and bass clarinetist.
Oh, you were. Oh, so
Yeah.
you've got like all this musical talent.
Yeah.
That you didn't develop in a college, that you've developed
on
yourself.
my own. Yeah, my saxophone is very reflective of my singing voice. It's interesting. I've been getting to discover that.
Your mind is like in a different place.
It's a different place. I mean, I think that if
I mean, I'm not saying it's not bad. It is in a different place.
It is in a total different place. Yeah, it's been very hard to try to figure out a way to market this type of music.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
It's very different. It's very different, and it's been very, very hard.
Is there any melodious feeling to it?
Oh, absolutely, tremendously. Oh, tremendously.
And who else would you say is doing anything like you?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody. I'm serious. I've heard that so many times. So I'm not to be an egomaniac. I can't find anyone that's doing what I'm doing.
There's no one doing what you're doing. Could you?
Maybe they are. I don't know.
Could you start another group?
No, this is it.
So if you write something, a group can't come in and play it.
Oh, they can play it.
Can
play
they?
it. I mean, I'd have to sit down with them because I play and perform all the parts. So when I'm done with the song and I'm ready to go ahead and finish it, I'm going to be performing the drums. I'm going to be performing the keyboards. I'm going to be performing everything.
Do you move around?
No. Just when I'm recording, I do all the
recording,
parts.
and then you put them all
And then when it's
together?
performing time, I'll grab musicians, and if they have a different spin on something, they're more than happy to do it. You see.
I see. But you're performing alone. So who's
Yeah.
going to play all these other pieces, parts?
Well, I'm just playing Colodis. So Colodis is just lap steel guitar and vocals. So it's just
What kind of vocal?
What kind of vocals?
Yeah. Give me a kind of a vocal sound.
Just from really low to high. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm really nervous right now to sing.
Oh, don't be nervous, because I don't know what the range is.
The range. Let's see. Let's see. I'm just trying to get here. Like really high. And,
Oh, so it's like an instrument sound.
Yeah. You know.
And is that all
So-
written so you know where you're going, or is
No,
it
it's
all
all in memory.
improvised?
It's all in
Oh, it's
memory.
all in memory. But it
Yeah.
is the same thing. You
Yeah.
can do it over and over.
and over again, and you'd hear it. You go like, "How the hell is he doing that?" You know, because the forms are pretty long, and the melodies are pretty complicated.
Yeah, they really are.
Sorry, that was a
Wow.
really weird vocal. And
But I'm glad you
thing.
brought that weirdness to us today, because we wouldn't understand
I've
it.
heard that people say like it's kind of yodely, country sounding
Yeah.
stuff, but it's
But it's not.
it is its own thing.
It really is. And when you
Yeah.
did that little demonstration, I can see.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm blowing a saw or something.
Caspar,
Caspar,
Reuben.
sonnet.
Thank
Caspar,
you.
Reuben, yeah.
Caspar Reuben.
Yeah,
Thank
there you
you
go.
so much.
You're welcome. Thank
Thanks. And thanks for watching. Keep writing to JAQUINN1 at AOL.com. Bye.